Walter and Henrietta Ambrose were pioneers and pillars in the Webster Groves community. Walter Ambrose was the first African American to serve on the Webster Groves School Board, and Henrietta Ambrose was the first African American to serve on the Webster Groves City Council. Mrs. Ambrose was also one of the co-authors of the book North Webster, A Photographic History of a Black Community, which has become a staple in Webster Groves schools and households. Besides these important roles, the couple spent most of their lives sharing and serving their communities.
Mrs. Ambrose, how far back can you remember?
Oh, kindergarten?
What do you remember about kindergarten?
That it was a Douglas school, and that it was a great thing because Webster, the classes at Douglas were small, and I remember having a good time at Douglas School in grade school, junior high school, and high school.
How far did you have to walk?
Not too far, because I lived on what is now known as Kirkham, and it was called Shady then. I'm talking early 30s. And we have to cross a little creek called, they call it Deer Creek now, but I think it's a tributary to the River des Peres. And we crossed the creek, go through the St. James pasture, and you came out on Holland Avenue at the school. And the school faced on Holland. It was great because you could kick cans and go through the creek on your way home.
That's precious. Okay, Mr. Ambrose, how far back can you remember?
Oh, about second grade.
What do you remember about second grade?
Again, small classes, and I had a little bit further to walk to school than she did. I guess, about a mile to go, but we enjoyed it a bit because we played all the way, and all of a sudden we found out it's about time we get there, before it's time to go in for school, but it was a lot of fun, and I guess I didn't realize how lucky we were with small classes, because now as I reflect back, I think that it was more like a private school than a public school. That was due to segregation at the time. I mean, we could not go to the white school. Douglas was the only black high school in the county.
Walter graduated from Douglas High School in 1937. Afterwards, he attended Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri. After graduating college, on July 8, 1944, he enlisted in the United States Army. He served for 2 years during World War II, rising to the rank of Master Sergeant, and was honorably discharged. When he returned home, Walter decided to earn his master's degree, but found that the obstacle of segregation would not allow him to attend the University of Missouri.
I guess when it hit me the most, after I had graduated from Lincoln University in Jefferson City, Missouri, and I'd gone into service and returned, and I started to work on my master's degree. And then it hit me that I couldn't go to University of Missouri at the time, and I ended up going to University of Minnesota. So, I mean, that's when it really did hit me.
I think the war did.
She would come.
I think the World War II made us all very aware of segregation, discrimination, because, as you know, our soldiers were segregated until Harry Truman said that should not be. And I think then when the men came back from World War II, black men decided if we've got to fight for this country, then certainly things should change. And I think it was around that time that you could see some of the changes coming.
Henrietta Ambrose graduated from Douglas High in 1944. After high school, she attended Tucker Business College in St. Louis, Missouri.
Now, how far did you go in school?
Okay, I finished Douglas High School and graduated from Douglas High School. Went to Tucker Business College, which was a black business accredited business college, and the only black business college in this area. In fact, in my class, there weren't too many men because I'm talking middle of World War II, but there were women who came from all over. We had a girl in my class from Memphis, Tennessee, there were 2 from DuQuoin, 1 from Mississippi, because this was an accredited business college. And I received a certificate in general secretarial work.
How did you two finally meet then?
Well, I've known her.
Church.
Yeah, church, I guess.
Same
But I've known her. In fact, if you'd have told me that before I went to service I was going to come back and marry her, I said there'd be no way. She has natural red hair, and she had freckles at one time. And, she'd wear those two pigtails at church and come around.
And he went away to the
And I
war
went away and came back and I said, who is that?
By that time, I had graduated to I was in my late teens, so I'd gotten into heels and, getting my hair fixed without those pigtails, and had finished high school. I guess I was at Tucker when you came back. So, we just started dating, and it was definitely decided that it would be a platonic friendship, and that's all, period. No strings attached.
Yeah, I wasn't looking to marry at all.
So how did you start dating her then?
Well, I said at church, well, when I came back, she had blossomed out, and I said, well,
Yes, let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
Somebody must have watered her while you were gone.
Yeah.
The Ambroses were married on June 9th, 1948. They had 3 children, Walter Jr., Carla, and Cheryl.
And of course, the kids were active too. We encouraged them to be active.
Walter and Henrietta kept very busy themselves. Both were dedicated volunteers in North Webster, serving on both Douglas and North Webster YMCA committees, as well as being active in church functions and participating in an interfaith organization. In college, Walter had pledged Kappa Alpha Psi, a historically black fraternity. Henrietta joined the Jack and Jill organization and was elected as an officer of the St. Louis chapter in 1962. During the mid-60s, when North Webster was being annexed into Webster Groves proper, Walter participated with the Webster Groves Land Redevelopment Commission. Both Ambroses aligned themselves with concerned citizens of the North Webster community who were worried about the ultimate outcome of the urban renewal project. Walter also worked with the League of Women Voters in the 70s and was appointed to the Rock Hill Parks and Recreation Commission.
Granted, Dad taught, so as a teacher, as an educator, he was good on staying on us about our homework and education. However, there was never a you have to go to college thing, but education is the key.
Walter Ambrose taught in the St. Louis public school system for 42 years. He began his career in education as an elementary school teacher, then taught as an industrial arts teacher at the Hadley Technical School in the city of St. Louis. While there, several of his students won the Ford Motor Company Industrial Arts Award, which was a nationwide contest. He initiated the Priory Summer School program that invited students from the inner city of St. Louis to the private school so that they could take advantage of opportunities that weren't normally provided for them. Walter also coached high school baseball. Walter went on to be the athletic director and industrial arts teacher at Vashon High School for 26 years.
Walter had gone on the Board of Education. He was had run and became a member of the Board of Education, first black to be a member of Webster Groves Board of Education. And he said too, none of our kids have gone through the public schools, and Webster has terrific public schools. It's one of the best school systems in the country.
Walter Ambrose became the first African American to be elected to the Webster Groves School Board. He was sworn in April 7th, 1969.
The question was, how do you feel being the first black on the Board of Education? And I said, I guess like any other citizen, I'm just a member there. I had no axe to grind with anybody, and that I always did believe in quality education, and Webster Groves has always had quality education.
In the late 1970s, the district faced some challenges because of impending state desegregation laws and a decline in student enrollment that caused some economic woes. The school board and administrators had to make some tough decisions. Not only would they have to let some teachers and staff go, but ultimately they decided to close 5 schools in the district, Douglas included. Walter, who was serving as the board president at the time, was the only member to vote against closing his beloved school.
Actually, the only thing about it is, if you'd have told me this in 1937 when I graduated from high school, I'd have said, boy, you got to be kidding. I lived serving the Board of Education. Now she's the first black to serve on the city council.
In 1986, Henrietta was appointed to fill a spot on the city council that was being vacated by Glenn J. Sheffield, who had decided to run for mayor. Sheffield won, becoming the first female to be elected mayor in Webster Groves, and making Henrietta the first African American to serve on the Webster Groves City Council. Henrietta served that appointment for a year, then went on to run and be elected to the council 2 more times. During her terms on the council, Henrietta played an integral role in helping to develop affordable housing in the North Webster area.
They found a developer to build smaller homes for people who were working but didn't have, that were working at a lower income level. Figured out how to get, through help with the county, how to get financing so that people would have a mortgage on an affordable place that they could call home. And Henrietta was so instrumental in making that happen. So if you drive down Reasoner now, you see all those homes, and I think of her all the time, that's where her heart was.
Both of the Ambroses had a deep sense of commitment to the North Webster community. Henrietta's journey into preserving its rich history began when she was invited to be on the board of the Webster Groves Historical Society. She and another board member, Ann Morris, began to discuss Henrietta's wish that the Historical Society would include more of Webster's Black history. Ann Morris recalled an exhibit that she and her husband had seen in New York called Harlem on My Mind.
I said maybe we could do a photo exhibit like the one I saw in New York. And she said, yeah. She said, I'll collect the photographs and we'll put this exhibit together. And I had a friend named John Nagel who taught photography at the junior college in Kirkwood, and he had offered that if I ever had a project that I wanted help with that had to do with photography, that he'd like to help.
I remember not so much the writing, but just her cajoling people, talking to people, saying, oh, do you remember this and this? And then people would start to say, yeah, I remember that because I was at that. And then they would bring out these pictures. And she was like, holy. And then she said, could we just take a picture of it? Could we borrow that and get, and so I remember, and she said, oh my gosh, I don't think she's going to let us have that picture, but it would be, and she has a letter that her mother wrote to her, or so just the work, the incredible amount of work she did, just trying to make that happen, trying to, and she said, I think we have enough, and then she, talked to one person, and oh my gosh, here's another tangent, like I didn't know that this person, and even I think some people learned a lot about themselves and each other, not even knowing, that wow, I didn't know I was related to that person, or I didn't know,
The North Webster photo collection was displayed as an exhibit at the Historical Society, but eventually morphed into a different project.
After the 3rd year, Henrietta said, oh, we've got to add more for next year. I said, Henrietta, let's try to get them all into a book.
Putting their legacy in writing. Mom was on a mission to do that, and she did such an awesome job, her and Miss Morris. So one of the things I think she enjoyed the most was the fact that she was learning as she was writing the book. And I was learning as she was writing the book. And even Dad was learning as she was writing the book.
The University of Missouri turned the book down. However, the Indiana University Press liked it and decided to publish and distribute it. The North Webster book, as it is finally called by people in the community, won several awards, including a posthumous DAR Book Award in 2019. In 1991, the Webster Groves Chamber of Commerce selected Walter and Henrietta Ambrose as their Webster Groves Citizens of the Year. The couple continued to receive many other awards and accolades for their community service and activities.
He fell in love with us, and he fell in love with North Webster. And the first thing he wanted was Henrietta's book. And he went through that book so carefully so that so much of what's on there is Henrietta. And it's that gift that she gave. Even the goat that's in here on whatever picture that is on that sculpture. So I think Henrietta needs a shout out for providing the basis for that beautiful sculpture.
There's a road off of Elm Avenue that goes beside Hickson to the swimming pool, and it's named Ambrose Way. And Jerry Welsh asked me if I would say something at the dedication, and I said sure. And when I thought about it, I thought how perfect it is to call it Ambrose Way instead of Ambrose Street or Ambrose Lane, because the Ambrose Way is the way to deal with everything. You just persevere and you look for the fun in everything. They were just so wonderful.
On October 23, 2011, the Webster Groves School District dedicated their preschool as the Walter Ambrose Family Center, what is perhaps the ultimate honor for an educator of distinction.
Just remember that they were both awesome people who cared about life. And they cared about making sure people have a good life. And just remember them as being just people who enjoyed life.